Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Dustin. I am a subject matter expert in the systems management space. Today, I will be going over troubleshooting discovery in OpenManage Enterprise. So first, let's start with the most common device that you're going to see in OpenManage Enterprise, and that is the iDRAC. So the iDRAC, it uses WSMan for discovery, and it uses 443 to talk on WSMan for discovery. So what you want to do is, let's go ahead and do a discovery real quick. Let's do an iDRAC 9. I'm going to put the password in. We're going to run it now. So the first thing you're going to want to do is just look at the job itself. Let's see what OME says the reason for the failure is. And OME is telling me that it could resolve the IP, it can ping it, but it couldn't reach it by WSMan. So now we got to start doing some troubleshooting. So the first thing you want to do is log into the iDRAC. Make sure your credentials are correct. All right, so we know our credentials are correct and we don't think that's the issue. So let's look at the next things. We're going to want to talk to the firewall team and make sure that obviously 443 can be reached and everything. The next thing we can do is a tool called the Troubleshooting Tool. This is something that you can just Google and download. It's provided by Dell, and I already have it running. And when you're here, you can go to Protocols and choose WSMan, put in your iDRAC IP, and make sure you skip CA and skip CN and run your test. And what you'll see on this test are what looks like a couple failures, and I'll talk through them real quick. First, what's happening is it tries to reach it using TLS 1.0. It can't, so then it tries using 1.1, and that one was successful, so it stops there. Then from there, it finds the profiles. That's what we're expecting to see. We want to see all these profiles. So from here we go, okay, credentials work. I can talk to it on 443. I'm seeing my profiles. What else could be the issue? One of the last things I like to try is actually a WinRM command from a Windows system. It's important that we have this on the same network so it's kind of apples to apples. And then we just can really test it. And that's what we would expect to see. So this is all working correctly. Let me try this again and make sure that I didn't put the wrong password in when I did it here. Now I can go to jobs, and it looks like it's already running. It's already gotten further than before. So that was probably the case, but it was nice to be able to run through all of those options for troubleshooting. One more thing to suggest, if you ever have just one iDRAC out of many that won't discover or is having issues with WinRM, just reset it and see if you have a better experience. So now let's talk about chassis. Chassis are going to be pretty much the same. Your WinRM command is going to look a little different, but not too different. I'll keep that posted up there for a moment while I talk through this real quick. But basically, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to want to test that WSMan through Troubleshooting Tool. It also uses 443. Nothing's changed. And rather than reset the iDRAC if one is affected, you can always try a failover the CMC. And another really important thing to note for both iDRAC and chassis is you will want to check the support matrix for OpenManage Enterprise and make sure that the chassis or iDRAC is at the correct firmware levels for discovery. So now let's talk about Windows Server. So Windows Server discovery uses SSH on port 22. And it's an open SSH. And the biggest things you want to do is go to the Windows Server and make sure everything is installed correctly. So you'll want to go to Settings, Apps, Manage Optional Features, and ensure that OpenSSH Server is there. Secondly, you will want to check the services to make sure that that service is automatic and started. And it is manual, see? So mine wouldn't have worked. So I'm going to want to start that. And I want to do properties, and change that to automatic, and apply. This way it starts every time the server starts, so a reboot of the server doesn't lose communication with OpenManage. And lastly, the biggest thing that you could do if this still wasn't working is you could do a packet capture. Make sure that it actually is able to talk on port 22. Make sure that the firewall isn't blocking port 22 as well. That's definitely, there is a firewall rule just for that. And that rule looks like this. OpenSH server. So another one that we discover in OME that's doesn't happen very often, but we do, it's storage devices. So storage devices are going to be using SNMP on port 161. So the biggest thing you want to do is go to the storage device itself and make sure you check that SNMP configuration is correct. You can use the troubleshooting tool to test SNMP as well, just here. You put the IP address of your storage device, the community name you have set, and you'd run a test, and that'll let you know if it can talk to it on SNMP or not. And then lastly, the network switches. So again, we talked earlier about checking the support matrix. There's not a lot of network switches that are currently supported, so you'll definitely want to check that first so you don't waste any time. Network switches also use SNMP on port 161. So again, you could use the same troubleshooting tool that you did for the storage to check to see if that's going there. And make sure your community string is right in the network switch. And then lastly, if nothing else works, you can go and export your console logs, and you can look in there as well to see if you have any extra information on why maybe the discovery is failing. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed my video on discovery, troubleshooting, and OpenManage Enterprise. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.